sometimes I kind of say, oh, we shouldn't be talking about behavioural economics, we should be talking about behavioural science, because actually behavioural science covers a whole range of disciplines in thinking about the way in which people really behave. But actually in this paper I have decided to focus on behavioural economics, because I think what behavioural economics does is it takes all that learning and then thinks about, okay, what's the implications of that for the way economics works? So the way in which markets work in particular in this case. So if you have behavioural consumers, how does that change market outcomes? And however much we think about issues, however much we do it, even then it's imperfect. But most of the time we just don't even bother, because we just don't have time in our life to think about every issue in as much detail as would be required to get the kind of absolutely perfectly rational outcome. And for competition, the key implication, or a really important implication, is that our behaviour and our choices can be altered by the way in which options are presented to us. How they're ranked, how salient they are, whether things are defaults, can all really affect the choices we make. And that means that firms can change our choices, but also the way in which markets work, by the way in which they frame those choices. How do you dampen competition? You can make it harder for consumers to make choices across options, or you can make it harder for consumers to switch across options. They can distort competition by focusing consumer choices on the most salient options, but not necessarily the most important elements. But I think there's liable to be quite a lot of things that the gatekeepers have done that turn out not to be effective. And they turn out not to be effective because consumers, they know how consumers are going to react, and consumers basically aren't going to react in a way that facilitates competition. And so the next wave of non-compliance provisions could actually be situations where they've kind of complied with the letter of the law, but they haven't complied in a way which is effective in achieving the DMA's overall objective.